Hello. Hi, Shell. How are you, darling? Just checking my laptop is working. Sorry if I didn't see you before. Just making sure that my laptop is ready there for the fun. How have you been? Good? I'll just wait a second. I'm very well, thank you, darling. Yep. Very good indeed. Can't get over still how we've got this warm weather. I think that's about to change though. Trying to decide what my wardrobe is going to be for the retreat too. I never have anything warm enough, to be honest with you. Yes, I'm sure you are, darling. Sure you are. Looks like we might get a bit of rain too on the weekend. Okay, so I'll just wait a little bit, just in case someone else pops in a bit later, and then I'll get started. Excuse me. Yeah, your hoodie, yeah. I was thinking about whether to get an hoodie. During the day it was good, short sleeves during the day. I was okay during the day. It's just that night time. Hi, Robin. How are you, lovey? It was just the night time that I found really cold, but it's not too much of a walk to the rooms anyway, so it'll be all right. Okay. All right, we might get started. We've got a couple of people listening, so that's fine. So we'll get started. Hello, welcome everyone. Yes, Inspired Art Journaling. Just to remind you that I'll be holding these sessions fortnightly or twice a month, sorry. And yeah, so hopefully every second week. And yeah, so the idea behind these is just to show you some techniques, just a short and sweet type of session, so that you can just get some ideas. And of course, you can always watch these videos back later if you decide that you would like to give the session a go. All right, so that's all my details there. I shall put that away. Okay, so today what I'm going to be doing is, actually I just want to cover this page up because I don't want to get anything over that. So excuse me for a second, I meant to do that before. Because I'm going to be just doing some bits here, so cover that up a little bit because I'm so messy and I'll get it all messed up. Okay, so you can see I've done a background here. Now the reason why is because I've used Lindy's and embossing powder here, and I'm just doing the sprinkle and spritz technique that you probably all have seen before, but I just love the way that it puts down a background. And so I've previously done this because when I'm doing this kind of thing for the backgrounds especially, I like to let them dry naturally, because once you start using dryers, heat guns on it, it just pushes it all around and you miss the really nice effects. So we'll just bring this up. So I am going to demonstrate how I did this on a tag, but so that you can get the idea of how it's done. But the first thing I'm going to do is emboss a stencil onto the background. Hi Susan, how are you? Watching without sound. Oh, okay. That could be beneficial, watching it without sound, but anyway. Anyway, yes, so the white is actually embossing powder, and I like the idea of doing this underneath because you get that lovely resist when you do the Lindy's. And excuse me. So particularly, see all those little dots that are all over it? That's just how the embossing powder sort of pits, has that orange peel, I guess is what you'd call it. It's an orange peel sort of effect with the heating of the embossing powder, and it obviously catches the Lindy's really, really well. So that's why I like to do this technique. Yes, you use a lot of embossing powder, but how many of us have embossing powder sitting in our stash that we haven't actually touched for, 100 years? But anyway, so this is one way that you can pull them out again and, and have a go. Now, you never know what the end result is going to be. It's probably not real evident on the screen here, but this is a black one. This is a shaker that, what's this one called? Black Forest Black. But when you actually, you can't sort of see it, but there's lots and lots of colours in here. So up in the corner there's all pinks and purple colours. You just never really know what you're going to end up with. And so what happens when it's wet does change for when it's dry. But anyway, I'm going to work on this later soon, but I really want to show you what this technique is like and how to do it. It's so simple, and but it's so effective. So I'll just put him aside for a little bit, and I have here get my puppy pad out. I'll just put that up there a little bit because I have a tendency to spray everything. Okay, so I've pre-gessoed a couple of tags here. These are some big tags. I think they call them number 8s. I don't know, but hi Naomi, how are you, darling? Thanks for joining me tonight. But I actually cut these myself, so that I cut them so that I get 3 out of an A4 sheet. So, whether that's the same width or not. But anyway, you can use any size of tag, but I'm using these tonight. I have put on here 2 very good coats of, I don't want to say gesso because I didn't use gesso this time, because I got out of my stash that I had from when Adonis was here last year, the Stamperia primer. I do love this. I do love my other gesso that I like. The only thing I don't like about this primer is that it's quite thin and runny. It's a watery primer, but the texture that you get, the tooth on the card is really, really great. So, sometimes I might use a bit of both. But anyway, I've done 2 coats of the primer on here. I always do at least 1 coat on the back, just so that it unbuckles itself. So it's really just to try and flatten it out again. Just for a little point of difference, tonight I'm actually going to, even though we're going to put all the Lindy's and all that sort of stuff on later, I am actually going to put a coat of Desert, just something very light. If it comes out too dark, I'll whip some white into it. But I don't know why, but I just thought I'd have a go at doing this. So I'm just going to put that over there like that. Actually, I don't really want to get paint. Sorry, guys, I just don't want to get paint on my puppy pad. if at all possible. I'll do it like that. And I'm just cover that over, squish it over. Look, this may make a difference. You don't have to do this. I mean, unless we try these things, we just don't know what's going to happen. And you can see, look, I'm being very haphazard with it. So it's just to put a coverage down. And I'm not worrying too much about the extent of the coverage. And you can see I've been playing with Lindy's, and everything has got Lindy's all over. Every time I touch something, I've just got a little bit of a whiff of streak of Lindy's on the background there. I spent all afternoon cleaning the desk to get rid of the Lindy's. Now, nothing much there. That's cool. I'm okay with all that. Just going to quickly just give that a bit of burst of heat. Excuse me for a minute. Hope everyone is well and the weather is good wherever you are. Oops. I should just mention too, another reason I put 2 good coats of gesso underneath or primer is because we're going to be flooding this with water and Lindy's. So we are going to really compromise the integrity of this card very soon. And that's another reason why I put a coat of paint on. It could be any colour, but I just felt for some reason to put this on. And something I want you to notice too, how it's really quite scratchy and that kind of thing. I'm very deliberate too when I put the gesso on, particularly when I know that I'm going to be using Lindy's or, you know, that kind of water-based product, because those marks all show up too in the Lindy's as it dries. So to me, that just adds a little bit more texture. So quite often I might do a bit of a swirl or, you know, just crisscross whatever to just to add another layer of texture to that as well. Okie dokie. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stencil. And I knew I'd forget this. Excuse me for a second. I was so efficient tidying up, I put the white embossing powder away. Oh, I can't keep up with the embossing powder. I seem to be going through so much of it and I can't keep up supply. Anyway, I'm wanting to get some more Wowzers white, but unfortunately I can't get it at the moment, so I'll just have to keep trying. Okay, so I need my embossing ink. Always get that wrong. Now I want to talk to you too about this. This is my old one. Actually, I won't get that one. It's my old one. It needs juicing. I'll get this one too, although it's looking old at the moment. I want to talk to you too about, you can see my ink pad here is looking quite black. Now I have it on good authority. I was listening to Seth Apter in one of his lives one time, and he said, don't worry about that being black, you know, because we're going to be using white embossing powder, and he says, don't worry about it. It's not going to affect it too much, and you know, you won't see it. And so, yeah, so he's right. It does work. It does cover up the white, even if it might come out. You'll see on here it might come out a little bit darker. But it'll come out sort of grey. But he swears that it doesn't affect the powder, and it doesn't. If I was doing clear, that might be a little bit different. But usually you're doing a colour, so it's not too bad. So you can see here I'm pushing through the stencil. Probably time for me to reduce my... So I'm pushing through there, So I've got, so you can sort of see that there is some marks on there. You know, a bit of stamping sort of marks, but I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm going to very carefully put this down here just so I can get a little bit up the top. I'm just holding it up so it doesn't rub the paste off the bottom there. Okay, so that's good. I'll just do this one and then I'll do the second one. Now, get my piece of paper. I like to put this down. Oh, actually, just a minute. That's for later on. I just wanted to get that, had glitter on it. So, put that like that. Get my white embossing powder. Lift that up a bit further. Sorry, guys. Hi, Trish. How are you, darling? Good to see you. Oh, see your face. Good to see your typing. Okay, so here we go. I really lavish this on because obviously it can go back into the pot when you finish, but I just like to make sure I cover everything. Oh, I've got bits of grass and all sorts of things in this pot. Oh dear. Anyway. All right, just give it a tap. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Lots of numbers all over there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, I'll just put that down there for a minute. Very carefully. Put it back into the pot. So do many of you use I use lots of embossing powder. And is there anyone else out there who's a little bit fanatical like I am, or am I just weird? So I've got the heat gun on now, guys, so I will need to, so I can activate this. So it'll just take a little bit to warm up, and then you can see it starting to turn. It's really quite cool. Oh, primer is affecting. It's one thing you have to be careful of, is the primer will affect. Okay, so that is really interesting. Now, I don't know whether it's the paper I've used or is it the primer, because like I say, I haven't used the Stamperia one since last year. I've just missed a bit. There you go. That could be a failure for doing embossing. It's actually puffed up. Oh, there you go. Can you see the back of here? I'm thinking it's the primer. Now, like I say, I do put a good couple of coats on there. You know, that's something to be careful of. Usually they settle down. I'm not worried too much about this because it is just a background. But, yeah, so that's something to be mindful of too. So I'll just very quickly do this one. And because I'm going to do, I don't know why I'm doing two, but, you know, that's just the way I roll. Let's go up here this time. We'll do this one up here. Could have changed stencils, but creature of habit. So these are just my samples to show you the embossing like I did the other background, but I will finish these off and show them to you. So I'm kind of just doing the opposite to what I did before. And just putting a little bit on. Maybe I got too much, maybe I do too much of this stuff too. I tend to overdo everything. Seems to be my motto. Paper. And like I say, and did you notice too that you can't see any of the darkness underneath, so it does cover up. And if you're using a colour, it should be okay. Okay. You should just let that fall down. Tap it off. Normally, you know, I'd make sure that there's no bits, but because this is a background, I don't worry too much about that. And it's going to have Lindy's all over it, so that I don't bother too much about that sort of thing. Put that in there. Get rid of that for the moment. Okay, let's see how we go with this. Whoop. Oh dear. My goodness. So here's a lesson on what not to do. I'm thinking that it's probably the paper that I'm using. It's just some card that I found. I don't even know. It's probably something I've had in my stash for a while. But anyway, you know, that will sort of settle down after a while. Those lumps will stay there, but I'm not going to chuck it away. I'll still play with it. And but anyway, that's those two there. It is just a sample, so I'm not going to cry over it. Even got one of my fingerprints in there as well. Okay, so we'll move all of this out the way. So I do think your choice of card stock is very important as well. Okay, so I'm just going to have a drink first. I'm trying to keep an eye on the comments too, so I'm sorry if I do miss something, but anyway, I will try to keep abreast of that. Oops, that's another rule. That's another rule you need to learn, is not to heat gun on your puppy mat, because it'll melt. Okay, let's get started on this. Move some bits out the way. Right, now, sprinkle and spritz. So we'll see, the original page that I showed you was done on a white background. Okay, so it's white embossing powder put onto a white background, and so you can see that the black's gone over it. So it'd be very interesting to see what will happen, because I've now got the sand colour, the desert colour background. Hi Bob, how are you? Okay, awesome. So let's get started. Sprinkle and spritz. I have got the shaker one here, which does have the little holes at the top, and the other side is for bigger quantities. So you don't need a lot. Sometimes, you know, of course, I get heavy-handed, and so I'll just sprinkle a little bit here and there. It's going to be really interesting because I've got all of those bumps and things on my... So we'll just see how that goes. If I think it needs more, I can always sprinkle a little bit more on later. So what I'm going to do is sprinkle the water on and just sort of let it do its thing, and we'll have a look at it for a couple of minutes, but then it's going to take a long time to dry. So then that's when I'll put it aside and I'll bring it back at the end so you can see how it's going, but obviously you can see what the dried effect is like. So when you look at it, it's black. I'll bring that right up so you can sort of see, but there's all sorts of psychedelic colours in there as well. So how they, you can see the puppy mat too, it's got the different colours on it. So we'll just see how we go here. Too much water, of course. And it'll be interesting to see how this one goes because it's all puffed up from when I did the, but you can sort of just manipulate it around a little bit. And you can see how it's, oh, you can't see that at all. Let me just, I'm going to bring the camera up, so just be careful. Look away. See how that goes. Nothing happened then. Does it come up? All right. Okay. All right. There you go. Bring that up a bit there. It's got all these holes in it, but I'll bring it up so you can see. Sometimes I try not to play with it too much, but you know, human nature, we can't help ourselves. But you can sort of see what I was wanting to show you is the little orange peel effect where it's all gone into the embossing powder bits and pieces there. So just have a little bit. Okay, so very interesting that. Now, I'm going to put that aside. Now, it's probably going to dry a little bit differently to what, because normally I would be sitting here watching it, and of course I'll be touching it all the time and that kind of thing. So what you can do is, like say in half an hour's time, you can have a look at it and see, but if it's pooling too much in one area, you just get a little bit of your paper towel and just dip the corner in, and it'll just soak up. Don't push it down too much, just let it soak it up itself, and you can just help it along a little bit. You don't want to take too much away, but of course there are areas where it just pools a lot, and there's no shame in just doing that, but I would not put the dryer on it because it just pushes it around too much. Dryers, heat guns, whatever, it really, because you can see I've got a lot on there. So while I'm just going to take a little bit off here, because I just think that is too much there. Then I'm going to put it out the back behind me, and we'll move on to the next bit. So that really is, and that's the process that I did for the other one, and only without all the bubbles. So I'll just get rid of that. So just bear with me. I'm just going to put this on the other table so it can dry without me looking at it. Right. Okay, right. Still with me? Okay, can be a little bit messy. I don't know how many times I've cleaned the mat down today. Okay, now we'll bring this baby back. All right, so exactly the same technique as what we did there before with the tags, but this is in the book. Okay, so you can see my stencil there. It is this stencil. This is a visible image stencil. I did purchase this from Natalie May Scrapbooking. So it's We're All Mad Here. Okay, it's Alice in Wonderland. So I've actually used it on here a few times. Okay, so that's what that's all about. So you can sort of see that's there. Love that effect. Okay. All right. So the next thing I want to do is, so we've done the tags. Yep. All right. So what I want to do now is I've got some Set After stamps here. Okay. Set After. This is one of my favourites. I have used it quite a bit. I'm actually going to use this text one here. Where is it? That one. And I'm going to use this long one here as a little bit of a border. So I'll just put those aside for the moment in case I don't want to use them just yet. And I'm going to get my stamp pad out. Now, this particular text stamp, it's good because you really don't know. You can kind of guess which way it is, but it's all been chopped up, so you can't even really read it. So it really is just a mark-making stamp. So I'm just going to start doing a little bit of ghost stamping over different parts of it, all over. Stamping it off until there is no ink left before I refill. I suppose everyone's watching Lego Masters tonight. I can't compete with Lego Masters, that's for sure. All right, so probably can't see it there, but I can see it. It's there, and I really, really like it. For the border, where's the packet? The border I'm using is just this little tiny bit down the bottom, and it's really quite effective. And if you've ever watched a Seth After Live, gosh, he's got some brilliant ideas and of how he uses this kind of stamp. So what my intention is I was going to stamp it quite a few times along the bottom here, because we're going to have our image that dropped on the floor. Oh dear, one way down on the floor. So we're going to have this image, and so I want to embed her onto the page, anchor her onto the page. So I'm going to do some bordering on the bottom, and then I'm going to do a little bit of bordering on the bottom of her across the chest there. Okay. Yeah, brilliant. I believe Natalie still has this stamp. Do yourself a favour and get it, because I've used this one here so many times in the video that I did about the gel printing book that I did. I've used that a few times, and same with the other stamps too. But yeah, brilliant. Love his work. Okay. Right, so we'll just put that aside. Just wanted to let you know what I'm doing. Then tonight when I was getting ready, I thought to myself, I think I want to emboss this border down the bottom. So I am going to do that. So after I've put all of the ink away, but that's okay. Am I off camera there? Sorry, guys. Let me put it up here. I'm just doing this without a block. And I don't care if it overlaps, if it's blurry or whatever. I'm not concerned about that kind of thing. And I'm probably putting it over the stamping that's underneath. That's okay. I just want to make a border, something for her to be sitting on there. I'll just put that in the middle there. So it's probably just going to be one big blob. Okay, I'm going to put that there. And got some black here. Put the lid on that. Get all that off because I'm going to have to move this in a minute. Which way am I going to tip it? Tip it this way. Just hope it doesn't go all over me. So I'm just sprinkling this over. That should be enough. Okay, lift it up very carefully as I can. I'll probably cover you up here, guys, so just bear with me for a second. Right. I'm sure I make it look harder than it really is. Put the lid on that before we end up with black everywhere. And takes a little bit time just to heat up, and it starts to work. Now over some of the white bits, it sort of comes up grey, and that's okay. I quite like that. I'm just going to do a little bit more down the bottom because I'm a perfectionist. Can't stand. Doesn't matter that I'm going over what I've already done. Just wanted that to come down to the bottom there. Okay, bit more black ink, paper. Oops, then go back over it again. As long as you're quick, you sometimes can refill, re-ink with the embossing ink, but you know, you've got to be real quick because it does go off fairly quickly. Oh God, I hate working with the black. Got black everywhere at the moment. All right. Okay. I should get shares in embossing ink. Oops. Just want to wipe that away because I don't want it setting onto my pad. So do wipe up whatever you don't want because you put heat on it and it will stay there. Okay, that will do for that. Now, just again, I just want to do it on to the girl. So I'm just going to do that over here. Hopefully you can still see what I'm doing here. And just very quickly put a little bit along the bottom. Oh, it's going to look cute. All right. Where's the powder? A little bit of this. Oops. So can you see that I've just put a little bit along the bottom there so that she will sit. Sit on the wall, and then she becomes embedded into the page. She's anchored on so that she doesn't look like she's just floating in space. Okay, so I'll just so there you go. She looks pretty cool now. She's got that little bit of border underneath her there on the bottom so that she can just nicely sit there and look like she's part of the picture then. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. All right. Okie dokie. So, right, next thing I would like to do is I had a look here. I played with some colours that I had. I want to put a little bit of, because there's a little bit of a reddy pinky colour on her. Tried a few reds that I had. So I've got the Ruby Gloss Spray. I've also got Sedona. It's a bit orangey. And then I've got my proper Artist Inks, the Liquitex ones. But to me, the Ruby kind of fits in better. It's a pinky sort of red, and it kind of fits in with her a little bit. So I just want to put her away because I am just going to do the, the little kissing technique. So let me just move here. I've got stuff everywhere here. Oop. You don't see much there, but my goodness, you should see it from my angle. Okay. Got a little bit of transparency here, Perspex, that I am just going to, I'm off camera there, so I'll just bring that on. Okay, so I'm just going to spray a little bit onto there. So I'm just going to, and I'm just going to, doesn't want to work on here. I might have to spray it on. Not going on as much as I was hoping. It actually, because it's resisting, which is a bit of a shame. There's a little bit on there, but that's okay. What happens if I spray? Do I dare spray, girls? Do I dare spray? Problem is you don't want to put too much on because it'll look like someone's bled all over the page. Oop, too much. Actually, that's what I'll do is just I am okay. I haven't cut myself. All right, so that's okay. Little bit there. I just wanted to bring a little bit of the red from her onto the page. I was going to do some splatters in red too, but I don't think I will. I think we've got enough splatters, enough red on here. I will do a little bit of black splatters because I probably don't need it because of the pitting that's on there, but I can't help myself. There's certain things that you just put on a page, stamping, stenciling, and it's just one of those habits that you do. Doesn't have to be always black. It can be whatever colours fits in with your colour scheme of your page. But to me, it's just one of those things that it's actually something I was thinking of doing. I don't want to say rules because there are no rules, but there are certain elements that you need in a page or you should consider putting onto a page. And I'm thinking of seeing if anybody would be interested in the elements of art journaling according to Linda Pearson, if they would like to do a little workshop on that. So I might put a bit of a survey up on the Facebook to see who would be interested in doing the art journaling according to Linda Pearson. But anyway, let's work on this first. Dry that off. The reason I like to use, if I'm not using the Dina Wakley gloss sprays as splatters, I often use those as splatters. I use the Liquitex Artist Inks, and the reason why I use those particular products, you can use acrylic paint, you can use anything, you could use watercolours, but knowing that they might shift, is because that they do have a bit of a glossy finish to them. You won't be able to see it probably on the screen, but the glossy from the stamping down the bottom here matches the gloss that's on the actual page there. So again, I know I'm showing you something that you probably can't see, but there is a sheen to that. But anyway, that's why I choose to use those products, either the Liquitex inks or the Dina Wakley sprays are fantastic because obviously her sprays match her paint colours as well. Right, my next step that I wanted to do is, let me think. Yep, I think what I'll do now is show you, where's the picture of the girl? So there's the girl there. So especially now that the red is on there, she's kind of blending into the background a lot. I'm wondering whether I need some white splatters on here too. Don't know. Anyway, my next thought was to actually put something in behind that was red. And so I've come up with these die cuts that I've already embossed with some ink, embossing powder. But I was trying to make it quite red, but it's only a little bit red. So I'm going to just show you what I did because I made up my own mix for this one. So I'll bring those out. Those there. And that there. And got that. Oh, where have you gone? All right. Last time I'm embossing, I promise. she's running out of juice, so I can't do too much more anyway. Okay, so this is a die cut that I've just run on some card, and now I'm going to, I've done this now, so I'll explain the mix that I made. This is my very own special mix that I've made out of bits that I own here already. I often do this because, you know, I want a particular texture or colour, so I'll quite often make up my own little mixes. Just put that there. Oh no, hang on, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, I'll hold it down here because that's going to be hidden. Right. So it's quite red. It's got red, black, red glitter, black and white textury bits. Okay, sorry, no question. Yep, there's no comments. Probably all fallen asleep. Wouldn't blame you if you fell asleep. Use this little fella. So I'm not too worried that I've taken a bit off the end there. Now normally with this, because of the black and white are a bit chunky, I start off drying it underneath. Because if you do it at the top, you blow off all of the bits. So start down the bottom, then just like that. Give that a bit of a chance to cool down a bit. Actually overheated my gun today doing this. Alright, so we've got 3 of those now. And all of that up there. I'll show you something else that I do too. When I get my embossing inks, you're glued to the screen. Goodness me, mustn't be much on TV. Okay, you don't watch Lego Masters, do you, Robin? Right, so with the embossing powders, whenever I get an embossing powder, I like to do up samples. So I've come up with this idea where I get the white card, I put a bit of black gesso down the bottom there that's flat, and so then with the marker, I just do a circle on there and whatever colour I've got. So that this way I can just easily see what colours are good. And I've got another one too here with all my Lindy's colours. So same deal. And it's just good when you're trying to look for a special colour. And this is also how I come to find out what I want to mix up. So which is what I did here, because I've got all sorts of, where is it? And usually what I do, because this is a mix that I've made, and today I used my brains and I actually did a sample and stuck it onto the top of the bottle so that you can see what it's like. But this is mostly WOW, and I've written on the back here what I've used, okay? And look, it is just an experiment. I do a bit of a mix, try it out, and then, you know, just keep doing it until I'm happy with it. I felt it could have done with a little bit more red, but, you know, there comes a time when you just have to sort of say that'll do, okay? So that's what I've come up with for here. Let me just move this up. So I'm going to do some distressing around her. Now, I may even do some scribbling on her because she's not standing out enough for me. And I like the process that Neve Bailey often does, is where she will use the Posca markers to go around the edges. So I may even do that as well. I might leave that till off screen, just in case it doesn't work and I start swearing. So Robin, you're trying to be funny there, Robin. I know, looks can be deceiving. If only you could see the behind me. But anyway, that's a video for another day. So, yes, at the moment, I kind of wish that I just painted those red. You know, like here I've gone to all this trouble of doing this, and quite frankly, I could have just painted that. But the idea is to show you different techniques so that, you know, you can be inspired, because you'll be doing something one day and you think, oh, that technique would be really handy for for whatever you're doing. I often do this kind of thing on frames. So if you've got a photo and you're putting a frame around it, I often do that on frames, just to make the frames look a little bit interesting. In journal pages, I mean, not in photos on the wall. All right, so I've got these three things here because, you know, I don't know if I made a good decision there, but anyway, I'm going to run with it. I don't think well on my feet. So the idea is to do that. So I do need to still bring her up because you can't see anything behind there. Maybe I should have left them white. I don't know. Anyway, what's done is done now. And so the idea is I'm just going to eyeball these. I'm not going to sit here and measure. This is not a maths lesson. So the idea is I'll probably do something like, oh, it has to come down to here. Yep. So I've got to remember to line her up with the bottom of the border there. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm going to do. I'm, you know, reasonably happy with this. I am going to foam tape her, which is probably going to make it difficult to do lines around it later, but that's okay, you know, that's a challenge. So just run with it, Linda. So I've got some glue. I'm just going to stand up to see if that looks okay. Might leave it like that. Yeah. Yep. All right, so I'll do one at a time. Get all the goo off my, oops. Okay, here we go. Come on. Just start putting little tiny bits of glue. I don't put all over, put in just a little bit, just so I make sure that most of it's got something down there. Put that about there. Just hold it so that it... Now you have to be careful sometimes. I've got a wet one here. Sometimes when you do this and you're using Lindy's, and it hasn't dried properly or whatever, you can shift. So just be careful of that. Something I was doing today, it shifted. Even though it is kind of a permanent thing, you know, it's got to be really dry. It does have a permanency to it, but it will shift in certain... I was actually using, that's what I think it was the other day, I was trying out Lindy's using alcohol ink. Well, that was kind of a disaster. I wouldn't waste my time. Should show you some of the samples that I don't know what I've done with them, but it was really interesting. The experiment, it was an experiment. but it's not. I may even go around those shapes with black pen too. You know, I don't know yet. That's something for me to think about. Because I quite like often do shadows around things if they're not standing out enough. All right, I might just stand up to do this one to make sure I get it kind of right. I probably could have introduced another colour, but I really didn't want to because, you know, I'm using her because it's kind of a, you know, Queen of Hearts type thing. And so I do want to keep to the red, black and white. So I really do think that I will be going around all of that very intricately with black pen. But I'll do that off screen. Okay. Beautiful. All right. Before I do that, I'm going to distress her a little bit. That'll help for her to stand out. Love this image. So gorgeous. So a little bit of black archival ink onto my pad. And just can be a bit tricky doing shapes, but I find if I just bend a little bit, I can get into the nooks and crannies. It's a pretty cool image. This image I just got from the internet, from Pinterest. Just printed it out on some card. Sometimes when I do these things, I like to put colour on the face and that, but obviously with this one, I don't need to because she's got quite a lot of makeup. I'll do that too, so that's all black. Just make sure those edges are all black there. Sometimes I put a little bit extra on because it really does help her to pop out a little bit, so she will need a little bit more. Right, put that down. Okay, so I shall get my trusty little, oh, what's wrong? What's in there? Look, I'm finally getting down to this is one of those big wheels that Nat sells. That's what it starts off with. I'm down to that. So it is really good value for money. I've had it over 12 months. I don't know how long I've had it. But I don't know, 30 meters, 33 meters on there. And honestly, and I overuse, I think because I know I've got so much of it, I do tend to overuse it a little bit. You can be more frugal with it. But anyway, so I'm going to put one right down the middle. Put a piece right down the middle to start off with. And then I'll just put a little bit there. Look, I think you're paying about $50 for, I think it's $49 or something like that. Sounds like a lot of money, but honestly, I did do the maths before I bought. I went to Spotlight and checked out all of the different product, you know, the different ones that you can buy, and did the maths and decided that for a big outlay, and it's so super sticky. And look, do I need that much? I don't know. Do you girls normally use that much? A little bit more, just a little bit there. So, yeah, maybe I do go a bit crazy with it. It's super sticky. Big one. Is anyone crafting along, or we're just watching, having a cup of, I've got a cup of tea sitting here too, that I'm drinking out of my cup. Can you, don't know if you can see my cup. Can you see my, I can't turn it on its side, but it's got scissors. Scissors. You see my cup? Sorry guys, I'm bringing it down. There, oh geez, nearly spilled it over. Yep, that's my cup, my scissors cup. Ah, nice cup of tea. Crafting along, eating the kids' Easter eggs. Oh, I've got one Easter egg left. I think the grandkids have still got some there. Oh no, I think they ate them before they left. Can't remember. But anyway, I've got one egg left. Which is good because my belly doesn't need an extra egg. Okay. All right. So I haven't found a sentiment yet, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. I mean, there's little bits and pieces that I will do to it, but I will certainly take lots of photos and explain what I did. You know, when I do it, but that's kind of it. But I think I will be outlining the little arrow, triangle arrow things. I will put some outlining on her. Just not sure about that. I want to think about that before I do it because I don't want to spoil it now. But I really like the way she's been embedded into the page with the little lacy border down the bottom there. I will go around the outside also with a pen, black pen, because I like to have a bit of a border around the back there that I do after a cup of tea when I've got the shakes. And the border there. And up. I like to do these things that, you know, I do them messy. You know, I don't sort of If it's not a straight line, that's okay. All right. Okay, so I'll leave it with that as that. Tonight. Thank you everyone for joining me tonight. I hope that's inspired you to rethink your embossing powders and use them a little more. Use them in your backgrounds. I've done a lot of projects that I've used. So have a look on Natalie May Scrapbooking on her business page for some of the lives that I've done there. I've done quite a few with the embossed backgrounds. It's just something that I don't know what it is. You get to be in a bonnet about something and you like to do it. But anyway, girls and guys, I will not hold you up anymore. Thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to you again soon. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.